Neal Brown, at a press conference yesterday for North Texas, taking that job, said some things that set Mountaineer Nation ablaze. Did he leave West Virginia in a better place than he left it?
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking about the Mountaineers, obviously, today, as we have a few things to discuss. Obviously, Neal Brown being at the very top of that list. By the way, let me kind of fix what I said in the opening. Better than he found it, not better than he left it. So, obviously, Neal Brown made some comments. We'll listen to that really quick clip of what he had to say, and then we'll kind of go into that. But we're also going to be talking about the early enrollees that will be coming to West Virginia from this recent big haul that West Virginia's brought in. Rich Rodriguez and company, the best in school history. How many of those great players will be coming to West Virginia early to get those early summer practices, basically having those early team meetings, things that you can do now that you couldn't do 10 years ago that really speed players along. So it'll give you an early look at, hey, who should I be looking at that can make an impact at West Virginia sooner rather than later now, because they're going to get the extra TLC. But we have to start where we start, and that's obviously with Neal Brown. Before we get there, let's acknowledge the channel sponsor. Today's episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends, and we always love talking about these guys, man. They've been so good to Locked On and just in general, the channel and everybody else. We couldn't do it without our good friends, man. So thank you to them at Game Time. Right now with Game Time, download the Game Time app, create that account, and use the code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and play the clip from Neal Brown here, and then we'll kind of react.
Just like I spoke about Eric, I really feeling like he leaves North Texas better than he found it, and we feel really strongly that we left West Virginia University better than we found it. We were able to set a solid foundation. For that, we had to maneuver a lot of changing landscape.
So the built-in excuse there, we had to maneuver a lot of changing landscape. So did everybody else, right? I think I saw somebody write Neal's he's an easy target. I get where you're trying to say there. I don't necessarily agree. I think this is one of those things that I think he believes it. I do think he believes it. Whether or not, people want to believe whether he believes it or not, or whatever blame you want to assign on that, he believes it. He believes he left West Virginia in a better place than he found it. The talent handoff between him and Dana, actually pretty similar. The talent handoff between Rich Rod and Neal, actually. So, from a talent handoff perspective, we all know that's not true. But let's set the stage. Obviously, Neal was hired in 2019 after that Dana Holgorsen departure. He inherited a roster that was extremely depleted. At the time, it was one of the 3 or 4 worst talent handoffs in school history. They had to go back to the 60s or 70s, I remember, to find a worse one than Neal got. So he did get, which is why most people gave him a year 0. He did, and he deserved it because Dana Holgorsen had been recruiting out of the JUCO and portal for so long before it was cool that we didn't have a whole lot of high school recruiting base for Neal and company to start with. And so what did they do? Well, we got really lucky with that first class because you got obviously Zach Frazier and a couple other really good players in that class. Doug Nestor would eventually come over, join Wyatt Milam and company, and form one of the better offensive lines in the country. But it took a few years, right? So there were some really rough bumps along the way trying to get that thing fixed. But over, so it was a depleted roster, and I want to give Brown that credit. But overall, you go 37-35, 25 and 29 mark in the Big 12. You had one good year in 2023 against the weakest schedule we've had in a decade. You go 9-4 against it. Probably should have been 10-3. A Hail Mary away from 10-3, and a Duke's Mayo Bowl win. Obviously, there was just a big stretch of mediocrity and no AP poll rankings throughout this time, even still none. Right, so we're going on 7 or 8 years with no ranking, which is insanity. And the fan frustration boiled over to the point to where if you get to 23 and 24 and 25, I mean, it's just literally every single day, right? Um, I want to get to some of the reactions here, and then we'll go back to some of the things that happened during Neal's tenure. Man, the reactions to him saying this, it's not good. Like, a lot of people really hate it. I mean, I can read some of these verbatim if you want. Golden Blue Zone said he was delusional, right? You know, I don't know if I would go delusional. Obviously, that's rough. That's rough. But um, Tony Caridi said he ran out of time, right? I think a lot of people don't agree with that. Um, one person here says he completely sucked the life out of the program and did major damage to the brand. Period. End of report. That's not a good comment, obviously. Um, don't blame him at all. Don't blame him at all for falsely tooting his own horn. Feeling sorry for the gullible folks buying it is another comment on this. Um, you know, Another one is you watch this year's team and you think he left a better roster. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Um, Somebody put, wonder if this pettiness costs him a few dollars. It just goes on and on and on. It's not a good reaction. There are people that do take up for him. Somebody I have a lot of respect for has taken up for him. Obviously, Chaz Rupert, who has a different relationship with Neal and those guys, and I feel like he's a little blinded by how they've treated him. Right, like he's got a kid that he's taken to West Virginia camps, different things, and I think they've been treated very good from that staff, and that would absolutely, if you were in his situation, that would have to paint you would be wearing rose colored or golden blue colored glasses in this case about Neal. So I appreciate Chaz's comment, but I don't think he's qualified necessarily to talk about it as much as somebody else because he's too biased, and a lot of us are biased the other direction, right? Because of how angry we are about the state of the program. But if you go back to October 2024, the Wolfpack crowdfunded and put up at least 3 digital billboards around Morningtown saying "Fire Neal Brown." They were really high traffic spots near highways and campus. Then there was a "Keep Neal Brown" sign, which was countered. There were 8 "Keep Neal Brown" signs the next day, so that was crazy. Then there were plain banner attempts in October as well, as fans raised over 5,000 fly banner reading, "Are you having fun? Fire Neal Brown." This is based off the nice weather comments after a 28-16 loss to Iowa State. Neal Brown said if they're in the deal for enjoyment, then I would come back. I looked at the weather and it's going to be nice again. It's a night game. Did they have a good time? Did they enjoy it? The weather nice. So a lot of people feel like he was basically pitching tailgate over wins. It did massive damage to his credibility to the point that even ESPN mocked it. Pat Narduzzi knocked it, which funny enough is like almost like it was a curse because Pitt, when they started 7-0, didn't win another game after he did that. I love that. Obviously we know about the records versus top 25 opponents. We know about the horrible road record. We know about the on the field product. There's only one saving grace to his resume at West Virginia, and a lot of people would agree that it's him as a person, right? He's a good guy. That's what you hear a lot of. And I'm not going to say he's not a good guy. I don't know, right? But sometimes you wonder if it's put on for the cameras. You just never know. He was so stubborn with it when it came to his staff as well, right? His buddies, if you will. I mean, you kept Jordan Leslie through a period of I don't even know how you I don't know how you justify really how you kept Jordan Leslie specifically through some of the years. You look at, I mean, and the thing is like I've seen people comparing him and Dana. There's no comparison. Dana was 61 and 41. He was 37 and 35, right? Dana averaged closer to 8 wins. He was at 7.6 wins. Obviously Dana had an Orange Bowl, whether that was his first year or second year or not. He recruited a lot of those guys because he was the OC. Dana was a little better in the Big 12 at 38 and 34, although he wasn't great in the Big 12, obviously. Dana won 3 bowl games. Neal won 2. I mean, as far as the tenures go, Dana's was much more successful. I don't think that's a question. How he left he left us in a bad spot. And it was definitely, I still think the way he left West Virginia was worse because he left us for a mid-major program, which was wild. It had not been done. I don't think at all. And I don't think it had ever been done at that point. So yeah, there's a lot there, a lot of meat on the bone for this. I saw somebody write Neal Brown was good at pretending to be a good guy. I don't know if that's the case, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that that's the case, but I could see how some people started to think that, especially after how he got in some of his press conferences later down the line. A lot of people felt like he was just a little bit too, I don't know, a little bit too snarky, a little bit too. It seemed like he was just getting worn down from all the negativity, to the point to where he would basically not even go on social media, from what I understand. So I get it, right? I mean, every time you turn it on, it would probably be some kind of hate-filled messages or things like that about the program. I'm sure it was rough, and I'm sure that summer leading up to that last year was really good. Everybody thought we were going to be good. Unfortunately, we didn't live up to that. So, I've had parents reach out to me over the years and talk about it. I think I talked about Mumu bin Wahad and his family. They reached out to me out of nowhere, and I mean there was a lot of meat on that bone for sure. I could probably find those messages as a matter of fact, but I mean there was just a lot to it. I did a show on it way back when. It got a lot of traction at the time. Let's see. I probably have those still. Maybe. You never know. But then again, his dad may not even be on social media anymore. I have no idea. Let's see if we can find it really quick. But yeah, I definitely. It's not there. I don't know. Maybe I deleted it. I'm not sure. But there was a time when Mubu bin Wahad's father reached out to me. He was a doctor before he transferred to UConn, and told me that he was promised all these different things and they didn't deliver on any of them. And you take what parents say with a grain of salt, obviously. And that's any parent, just because you can't take it at face value. They're only seeing it from one side, and it's extremely biased. But he made some pretty bold accusations in there that the program was being run by the inmates. Like, this is when Winston Wright and those guys were around, or maybe right after. Maybe it was right when we lost all those guys to the portal. And I think a lot of guys didn't like the culture within the locker room at the time. It was very all about me, that kind of thing. But if I can find it, I'll bring it up another time. Because There was definitely some damning stuff in there, but like I said in the video when I did it, you just can't. You have to take it at face value. There's no way to. You just can't take it at 100%. It's just not fair to Neal. But overall, guys, I think there's no question that if you're comparing it to Neal Brown or if you're comparing it to Dana Holgerson, West Virginia is better in a couple places, facilities wise. Obviously, Neal was a much better representative of West Virginia than Dana was. But other than that, I really don't see the talent handoff is bad. Neal can't control who transfers. So keep that in mind. Had the players stayed that were potentially going to stay, maybe we win 7 or 8 games last year. If you get Trey Lathan and Josiah Trotter, with Zach Alley, it could have been interesting. Along with those offensive linemen that left, it definitely could have been interesting. I would love to have seen what we could have done with it, but I don't think we would have gotten the desperation we now have from Rich Rod. So things went a little worse than I think even he thought it was going to be in year 1, and we don't want to repeat that in year 2. So overall, my judgment is that Neal, first of all, I think he was a little out of pocket to say that in a press conference. Why even bring up West Virginia in your North Texas press conference? Hell, Darren DeVries still hasn't said the words West Virginia that I know of since he's been in Indiana. That's real. That's true. He said Creighton. He said the other schools he was at, but he never said West Virginia. Whenever they were going over his timeline, I'll never forget that first interview. I watched every second of it. Darren DeVries went from, I think he went from Creighton to Drake to Indiana. Literally didn't even mention the 1 year at West Virginia. So for him, that must have been a bad dream. I'm not really sure. Okay, Joey. Yeah, give me a call after the show. Let's go to break. Let's talk about these early enrollees. There's a lot, and I have some thoughts on a couple of them. West Virginia is getting a ton of early enrollees for this coming summer, and there's a lot of guys on that list who are going to be in line for some early playing time. We'll talk about them next. Of course, on this episode, though, we can't get away without talking about our friends at Omaha Steaks. Right now, if you didn't know, Omaha Steaks is doing this thing with the holiday sale. Look, they have 2 goals for the holiday, 2 big ones: feeding people well, finding gifts they'll actually love. And when you want both handled in one move, Omaha Steaks is the move, right? It's the way to go. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience right to your door. Because during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save in every huge way. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And it gets even better with Locked On College listeners, as you get an extra $35 off with the code COLLEGE at checkout. Pretty good stuff. So the best people to give these to are anybody that loves steaks, right? Anybody that loves really good food. I've seen Omaha Steaks before as a gift. Reaction is always the same. The best gift I've got that day or that holiday. I love how easy it is to gift too. It shows up frozen, so it's packaged great and beautifully, ready to cook right away if you need to. There's a ton of options from fillets, burgers, comfort meals, sides, desserts. You can build a box for anyone. So save on the gourmet gifts for the holiday times and get your favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout where the terms apply. See the site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Of course, we're going to be in segment 2 now. And let's crack a live wire dew. I haven't had one of these in quite a while. They're pretty decent. Tastes like orange soda. But they're not bad. So, all right. Early enrollees are important. And I think, at least for me, the list that we have coming in this year you have to look at these kids and say, okay, they've got a chance to be early contributors for West Virginia. So I've got them separated by position. And so we'll just go down each position and we'll kind of touch on the early enrollees. And then I'll talk about a player or two at each position that I think has got a shot to make an early impact. The only quarterback that I can see coming in early is Jaron Hughley. Now, I didn't see if anybody else was coming along with him, Wyatt Walker Brown or anybody else, but for now, he's the one that I can only find coming in so far. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, he's a kid that has a ton of running ability. I think he does need to get better as a passer a little bit. If he does that, though, I think he's ready. Redshirt freshman year, Hughley is seriously will be a factor. There's a couple guys they're bringing in that could be a factor as far as they'll be in a competition style, right? Unless Rich Rod gets a guy, it's going to be here for 2 or 3 years. Then I don't know. Running back, you've got Martavis Boswell, Amari Latimer, and Christopher Talley. Oh, how long I could spend on this list. We'll start with Boswell. He's going to play immediately. He's going to play immediately. He is one of the fastest guys, if not the fastest guy in the class. He's got elite speed. It shows on tape. He's a guy that is a small, undersized player at about, I don't know, where is he? 5'10", 5'9", kind of guy. And dude, he has got some wheels on him. So he's a guy that I look at and say, West Virginia was going to love to have him. Rich Rod's going to love to have him. He's got that Sincere Bowers gear in him, the one that, like, if they get a seam, it's a wrap for him, that kind of thing. He's got that, but I would say he's a little bit more explosive. Then you get to Amari Latimer, who a lot of you guys know I think will be the starter at running back for West Virginia at some point this coming year. Whether that's game 5, game 6, by the time he settles in, as long as there's no injuries, and as long as West Virginia doesn't bring in just a stud in the portal that we don't know about, I say Amari Latimer has got to be – I mean, he's the most talented back I've seen West Virginia bring in, and I can't even name the last time. Maybe since and he's more talented as far as upside goes, but if you want to talk about good running backs we've had, obviously Letty Brown was really good. Jaheim's really good. CJ Donaldson's really good. We've had some good ones. Kennedy McCoy and those good. Justin Crawford were good players. But as far as out of high school, I would go back to Noel Devine and say, this is a guy that, as far as coming out of high school, that I've liked as much as Noel Devine. I mean, I love if you haven't had a chance to go and look up Amari Latimer and watch him play yet, go do it and then come back. He's going to be a 3-down back. He's 230 pounds. He runs a 10-8 100-meter yard dash. He's got some freak traits, and West Virginia's lucky to flip him from Wisconsin. He had Miami and Ohio State coming at him. I mean, he was, in my opinion, outside of Brown, probably the biggest flip of the cycle. We got really lucky to get him at the end, and I'm sure we paid for it. Christopher Talley's got talent as well. I don't think he'll factor in this year, but maybe he'll get carries, but I don't think he'll be a starter yet. Wide receivers, you got Charlie Hannafin, who is a very polished route runner. Keon Hutchins, Robert Oliver, Malachi Thompson, Kedrick Triplett, and Greg Wilfred. What a list. Obviously, Keon Hutchins is on 3. He's rated a 4-star player and the number 1 JUCO wide receiver in America. So to say that he's not going to make an impact would be insane. Yeah, he's going to make an impact. I think he'll probably play, could possibly start. He's going to be in the conversation too. And then you get to Kedrick Triplett as well. He's the number 3 or 4, depending on where you look, rated JUCO receiver. he'll be right there in the mix with with Keon Hutchins. They're both kind of they came as a package deal. They ended up coming on the visit together, and they'll probably play together too a little bit. The rating is like Kedrick's rated an 89, Hutchins is a 90, so they're really close talent wise too. Then you get to Greg Wilfred, another one that I really like. He was a quarterback in high school, come blazing fast, will be a receiver. Tight ends, you've got Cade Bush and Sam Hamilton. I am not well versed enough in Cade Bush or Sam Hamilton yet to talk about whether or not they can play this year. Just keeping it honest with you guys. I mean, there's a lot of players in this class. I haven't been able to watch tape on every single one yet. I'm sure I've seen a highlight tape, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. And I'm not going to pretend like I know if I don't know. So, but I will get to the tight end room today. Now that I realize I haven't really evaluated any that are coming in early. Kevin Brown, Aiden Woods, Deshaun Woods at the offensive tackle spots. Kevin Brown is a plug and play, probably starter from day one. The only way that doesn't happen is if West Virginia goes big portal, and even still, I think he's going to be on there in there somewhere, whether it's a guard or tackle. I think Kevin Brown's going to play early. I would expect him at tackle. You're going to have some growing pains there, but I do think he's a guy that you got to be excited about. And there's some other freshmen too. They're not the only ones coming in. He's not the only one coming in that you're excited about. Aiden Woods has got some go to his game. He's got some nastiness to him. Deshaun Woods, just a monster of a guy. Another guy a lot of people like. He's what is he? 9/10 of a point away from being a 4-star player on 3. He's a guy that you can probably talk about as potentially coming into play early as well. LaMarcus Dillard, Cam Goforth, and Rhett Morris. Rhett Morris played at Don Bosco prep school, one of the best in the country. They play elite competition there, and he was their leader. If you haven't seen if you go type Rhett Morris into YouTube, there's a cool video on him being their leader, and kind of their thermostat, if you will, in the room. Rhett Morris has got a lot of intangibles. I really like what he brings to the table. What he doesn't have in physical ability, and not that he doesn't have some, but he's not Kevin Brown, So what he's going to develop, and I think he's got some upside as far as from intangibles. He's going to work himself into a good player. Everybody knows about Cam Goforth. Cam is working really hard. You can see he's working every day, whether that's with his strength trainers or that everyday Valley guy that he's working with. I've seen he's been working with. He followed me yesterday, doing a lot of different exercises, O-line workouts, footwork, working on the things that O-linemen do, a lot of coordinating drills with your feet and stuff. Cam's got a lot of work to do in those areas, right? Where he's good at is in his frame and in his overall strength. He's an absolute brute of a man, probably stronger or as strong as Kevin Brown, but he's nowhere near the athlete yet. So that's the thing with him, is not that he's a bad athlete, but he's not an elite athlete. He's about an average athlete, in my opinion. And he's working on his bend. And I think Cam Goforth is a guy where, you just got to figure out what one spot he's best at. And man, he could really turn into a good player there, potentially an elite player. He's got the strength and the will to do it. But he does have some things, he reminds me of me. He's got big, obviously I'm nowhere near his size, but he got some big, thick legs and calves and ankles. And, it's tough, man, when you're that size. He's almost all muscle too. So Cam Goforth, though, I do think will have a chance to be an early impact player for West Virginia, but I think he's a year away. If you're asking me personally, I do. I think by the time he's a redshirt freshman, he should be ready to go, or sophomore. But I do think he may need 1 year. And I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not. Not everybody can play early. Jeremiah Johnson, the Bandit, I need to study more of. I've only seen a couple plays. So, but he will be coming in early. KJ Gillespie or, um, Carter Kessler, another one that's coming in early. Um, at defensive end. And then you get to the defensive tackles. Yinder Mack, Cam Mallory, and Jalen Thomas. My God, what a trio of players. I absolutely love all three of these guys. I do, man. I love all three of these guys, man. Oh, gosh. I'm so excited about the defensive line this coming year, at least from what we have so far. I mean, Yinder Mack is a guy that he's got to get some stuff right, but from an athletic standpoint and from a frame standpoint, what a steal. Kevin Brown suggested him come in. And what a great suggestion from Kevin. Yinder Mack, Yendormack. Go look him up. I mean, I compare him to Dante Steels. That's the skill set he has. He's a big 6'3", 255, 260 defensive lineman that can pass rush from the inside or off the edge. He's like Dante. He can do all that stuff. Is he going to be Dante Steels? I have no idea. I'm just saying, like, as far as how his size and how he moves, it reminds me of Dante Steels quite a bit. Cam Mallory, different story. Whenever they announced that Matt Sig committed to West Virginia, one of the only other player that they talked about that day was on that show. It was like a 3-minute clip where they're like, and Matt Sig commits to, oh crap, it's West Virginia. Wow, what a shock. And they were talking about West Virginia's class, and he was like, I'll tell you another underrated guy. And he mentioned Cam Mallory. And there's a reason, guys. If you get a chance to go check out Cam Mallory as well, defensive lineman, 6'3", 270 or so. But my God, what a brute. And he plays in Moody, Alabama, which is why sometimes I'll call him Cam Moody. But, he's one of my picks. When I did my top 5 list, he was on there. Mallory's a guy, and he's coming early. That's good news for West Virginia. Severely underrated. Love his stuff. And then Jalen Thomas, the JUCO, the top 5 JUCO D lineman in all of college football, comes in at 6'3", 310 pounds, and is a nose. He's going to play on the nose. He's got a lot of ability. He's got some length. He's got some size. And what he does well is he engages with centers. He locks them out, sheds, and hits the running back. He takes up a lot of space. I'm not saying Lee Hunter. He's not Lee Hunter at Texas Tech. But we've got a couple guys that I think we can rotate that can be good there. We'll just have to see how he holds up against Power 4 competition. But if he can do what he did at the JUCO level, at the college level, he's got a really good chance to be one of the big finds this year for West Virginia. And what's a loaded class for West Virginia? Go to break one more time here, and we'll finish off the rest of this show with the rest of the early enrollees. We'll be right back. And, of course, we can't forget about our friends at Game Time. With Game Time, y'all, it's pretty simple with them. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans the real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time. You can get alerts when great seats open, and you can buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Alerts for teams and matches make it easy to grab tickets the moment they drop instead of missing out. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets today with Game Time. Every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase, where the terms apply. Again, download that app, make an account, use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off, where you can swipe, tap, ticket, go Game Time today, and download that question of all questions. What time is it? It's game time. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining on this one. A couple other names on the early enrollee list. I mean, just a bunch of guys coming in. KJ Henson, another defensive lineman that came in the same day as Jalen Thomas, a 6'3", 280-pounder. Another top 5 D lineman in all of JUCO by the rankings. You got Antoine Sharp, and then you got Cam Dwyer, who is he's another one I love a lot. He's got a long way to go from a body standpoint, but man, does he have a ton of speed, which is exactly what they want at linebacker. 6'2", 210 pounds, maybe. So he's got 15, 20 pounds to put on. But, I mean, he's probably a 4-5 guy. He can really fly. Love his stuff, man. Damon Allen, another top, I think he's rated in the top 10 of all JUCO corners, maybe top 5, which one of these guys, I can't remember if it's Rashawn Reynolds or Damon Allen, but they're both ranked in the top 10 of all JUCO corners, and along with Mekhi Boone will be coming in early. At safety, you've got Ricky Giles, one of the more West Virginia sounding names on the list. Damari Williams was a big signing for West Virginia. And then you get to my guy, who I've done 2 shows on over the last couple of days, Miles Cotchery out of Pike Road, Alabama. I interviewed his coach, and I did a show on him possibly being the next Fred Perry. Emory Snyder, another big name that will be coming in with him at the nickel/safety part. Guys, Miles Cotchery, if you get a chance, I know I've said this with like 4 or 5 guys. Miles Cotchery is a heat-seeking missile that absolutely wrecks people when he hits them. And he's got a couple plays on tape that literally make your jaw hit the floor. There's one where he stacks the running back up the running back gets 2 or 3 yards. He makes the hit, drives him back 6 yards, rips the ball out, and runs for a touchdown. I mean, he's that kind of guy. He's that kind of nasty. He's got that nastiness to him, which is what we want. We love it. We need it. We love it and need it in West Virginia. And so let's roll, baby. A lot of early enrollees to be excited about. This is going to give Rich Rod a nice base of freshmen and JUCO guys, players to work with, and have some potential options outside of the portal to be in the rotation early on during summer. So a lot going on here today. We'll do another video here in a bit, guys. Let me get settled in. I got a couple of things to do. But, yeah, I appreciate y'all for joining in on this one. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. Do us a favor and make Locked On Big 12 your second listen. Drake Toll leads the conversation in America's most exciting conference, obviously, from the conference games and the championship game and everything in between. He leads us all at Locked On, no matter what it really is about. He's the man. So make sure you follow him. Keep on going to Locked On Big 12. And we'll see you on the next one, guys. For me, for Neal, we'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to cue those country roads.